Hey, what's going on today, YouTube? Happy holidays and happy New Year's to everyone out there. So today's video is going to be a little bit me talking on what my goals are for the new year, as the new year is coming around. So I'm going to set a little bit of resolutions for my language learning. But I'll reflect a little bit on how my language learning went in the past year and continue on with my goals. So first, starting off with my reflection for the previous year, actually for the past year and a half, so I'll recap all of that. So one thing I haven't been doing too well is actively keeping track of my hours, so this is going to be a very rough estimate, but I looked up what I did for the past year on Anki, and so I've spent 277 hours on Anki alone, and give or take that I did 2 to 3 times of active study compared to what I did with Anki. We can calculate it out to either 831 or so hours or 1,108 hours spent in Anki overall. I actually said Anki here, but what I meant to say was active study overall. And so if we take a look at this little chart I found on Wikipedia for JLPT levels, you can see that I am, I guess, roughly in the N3 range if you just went up based off of hours, but I'm missing a whole half of year from my beginning to the 6-month mark, as I don't believe Anki keeps track of that anymore in the hour total. So add a couple of 100 more hours onto that, and I'm ranging the upper limits, I guess, of N3 based on that chart. However, I don't actually think, I'm not going to claim that I can do N3 at the current moment, as I haven't taken the test and I don't know actually how difficult they are. However, I was reading somewhere on Reddit that NHK Easy News is based around N4, N3 levels, and I can read those articles that are on the NHK Easy News with missing a couple of words here and there, especially if they're very specific, like official government names or other names of different things. Additionally, this past year, I did 11 conversations on Italki and 3 on Hanayoku. I actually didn't realize I did this many conversations. I thought it was somewhere closer to around 10. And so would say that I was watching a little bit of my older Japanese conversations, and I've definitely improved. And you can see on my YouTube channel that the conversations from the beginning to what they are now, I think you can see that I've become a little bit more comfortable with speaking the language and with trying to output it. And so definitely I think my conversational ability has increased overall this past year and a half from 0. So that's just going to be a little bit of a quick recap on my previous year, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the goals that I have for the new year. Jumping into the first goal, I want to be a little bit more consistent and a little bit more thorough and in studying and tracking my study hours. As I just went over, I wasn't the most consistent last year, so I would really like to document and see how effective these hours actually are in my studies, and I think that's going to be attributed, it's going to make it a little bit easier in the future to kind of guess what's effective and what's not. One of my subscribers actually recommended that I use something called Toggle Track, so I'm going to be using that for tracking my hours on the on studying, and yeah. I do plan on also, I have a little bit of concrete hours on what I want to achieve in order to achieve the more consistency. So weekdays, I'm planning on at least getting an hour of reading in, and on weekends, 2 to 3 hours on weekends. And then on, in terms of Anki, 10 new cards per day is going to be good enough for me, even on weekends, because I think I want to dial it a little bit back on Anki for several reasons. Several reasons we'll talk about in a future video. So I'm going to jump into the second goal. The second goal is to be a little bit more active on actually tracking the journey on YouTube. So honestly, I could be a little bit more active, but I've been kind of just lazy on it. And so I think what I'm going to do is create or make content that's a little bit easier for me to record and video and just upload, rather than creating content that's a little bit harder to, it takes a little bit longer. So when I make these tutorial videos on how to, set up different tools and whatnot, sometimes those videos I have to go back and record, and they can take, anywhere from 3 to 4 hours to make and curate, and then getting it all uploaded by the end of the time. The amount of time I spent on that video is like 8 or so hours that I could be spent on learning Japanese. So I might be trying to do a little bit more blog style type of videos just to get things up a little bit easier, and I think that'll be interesting for content on YouTube, tracking the journey at least. My third goal is to be a little bit more active in getting into conversations and outputting a little bit more. So as you all may know, I'm a big fan of input, and so all I've been doing is just getting input and not outputting as much, because as if you're familiar with this input method, and what I've been following is they say to do a lot of input in the beginning, and they say like wait like 6 months before you start outputting. So I'm about at a year and a half, and I've been inputting a lot. And so personally, I want to improve my speaking ability, and the only way to do that is to actually speak. And I think I have enough input that I can get around with the vocab that I know and the grammar that I know, and to just build up my ability to speak. And so that's one big thing that I want to work on this year, and to do so via online learning apps and stuff like that. So more content on that will definitely be coming, as I'll be having more conversations this year, and so that'll be fun to see on YouTube as well. And my fourth and last goal is the big one, I guess, the far out there goal. So I would like to be able to take and pass the JLPT N1 test by December of next year, and so I am working on trying to get that. I'm working on a pathway to that test, and so it's very doable in my opinion. I think I can get there by next year. That would be around the 2.5 year mark. I believe I can get there, but I've got to be very consistent. I've got to follow through with goal number 1. And I've got to really put my nose down and dedicate myself to the language. So that is one thing that I'm going to be working towards over the next year and a half, over the next year. And so I'll be coming out with a pathway. I'll be explaining on what my path and what my plan is on getting to the JLPT N1 test. And so stay tuned for that in the future video, and yeah, I'll do that one there. But with that, it's going to be the 4 resolutions that I'm going to be setting for the new year for my language learning. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out this year. Additionally, one last thing, I would like to thank everyone that has subscribed to this channel so far. It's been a wonderful journey. All of the people that have interacted with me on Discord, to Hanayoku, who offered me 4 free lessons with their Japanese teachers. It's been such a wonderful experience talking with the teachers that I've gotten, and with everyone who's just interacted with the channel and seen a video or left a comment. It really motivates me to continue on in my journey, and I do think it kind of builds this sense of community that's kind of cool to be a part of. And so just being and just doing all that, it's been really cool on YouTube so far. So cheers to the new year, and cheers to future videos. And so that's going to be the end of it all. And if you want to leave your resolutions down below, your New Year's resolutions down below on language learning or anything in general as well, just feel free to comment down below, and I love to look at what other people's goals are as well. It really inspires me too. So as always, everybody, good luck in your studies out there, and yeah, I'll see you next year. Or actually, by the time this video is released, it's going to be the new year, so Happy New Year's!